Hi guys, I thought it would be fun to talk about this little Tocca discovery set. Now, I already had a couple of, I had a little miniature, a 15 ml of Stella, and before I managed to get this, I also won a bottle of Giulietta, a partial bottle on eBay for 9.99. So I had to snap that one up even though I hadn't smelt it. But since getting this, I've actually, because it's taken me a while to actually do this review, I'm afraid, but since getting this one, I have purchased a couple more bottles because I think if you're like me and you do like quite interesting but light perfumes, then, like easy to wear, quite feminine perfumes, then I think you'd really love Tocca. And for me personally, I always, ever since I saw them anyway, in around 2007 in Selfridges, I've always wanted to have a bottle of Tocca. I'm not someone who will just keep lovely bottles or buy lovely bottles because I like the bottles. I have to like the perfume as well, so obviously I wanted to make sure that I liked what I was buying and I was going to wear it. But part of my collecting perfumes is also a love of bottles and collecting bottles. But everything I collect has to be practical, so it has to have perfume in that I'm actually going to wear. And I just always wanted a Tocca. I think the bottles are so stunning. And this is a really nice little set. I got this from amazon.co.uk and I think it was about £18 in my Prime delivery. It's got a really nice box. It tells you what's in here and the basics, like the kind of the main notes, if you see what I mean. And then along the side, it has little pictures of the perfumes, so you can see what the actual bottles look like. You'll see in a minute how inaccurate a few of these are. But anyway, so it comes in this lovely set. So wherever I've got a bottle, I'll pull the bottle in, and where I don't, I'll talk about the thing from this. But the main one that I wanted to smell from this was actually Colette. And it was kind of difficult to get anything that I could actually test it, and they don't necessarily have them in the shops anymore. They don't have them in the places that they used to actually sell Tocca. So I think now it's like online basically is the main place, and I couldn't get a sample of Colette. So I just wanted to know what it smelled like because I thought it was one that I might quite like. But anyway, so if we start with their newest perfume, which is Lucia, or possibly Lucia, is maybe how you would pronounce that one, because although I thought this was an Italian brand because of the way that they've named it, but it's actually an American brand, so yeah, confusing, but it might be Lucia. So this, I'm just going to call it Lucia because I'm British. If you can see, this is why I put the white here as well. This is a very green liquid. It doesn't look like it does here. It's a very green liquid and it's quite a green perfume. So I smelt this, not expecting it to be the one that I was wild for. And I just fell in love. I just thought it was so lovely. It's such a pretty perfume. So I went onto eBay because these are around about £115, I think, for a bottle of Tocca. I think that might be for the 100 ml. So you can probably do cheaper if you go for the 50. But I saw it on eBay and I made an offer and I managed to get this 100 ml bottle for £40. So I was very happy with that because I think this is a beautiful fig perfume. So the main notes that they give you for this on the box is Italian lemon, fig and vetiver. But just to expand, the notes from Fragrantica say C notes, lemon, mandarin orange and grapefruit. Middle notes are fig tree, geranium and rosewater. The base notes are fig tree, tobacco, cedarwood and vetiver. Now, that to me sounded like it was going to be quite masculine, but this is very unisex. There is a softness and a sweetness here that is coming, I think, from that tobacco leaf that's so beautiful. It's definitely green and citrusy, but the more it dries down, the more you get this lovely, smooth, soft vetiver, tobacco and fig, and you've just got these very gentle florals. It's got a little bit of that C note, but it's not massively salty. I do struggle with salt, but the funny thing about this one is I sprayed it on me and I was like, oh, that's quite nice. And then I kept going back to sniff it and being like, oh, it's really nice. Oh, it's delicious. And then I started thinking to myself, I know this scent. Like, this is a perfume that I know this profile. And I realised that it reminds me of Killian's Moonlight in Heaven. So that's a perfume that, I mean, I don't particularly get on with Killian, not just because they're so expensive, but also because I have a feeling there might be some aroma chemicals in a lot of their perfumes that just don't work for me personally. But I do have, I had something in mind that I wanted to buy that also smells a bit like Moonlight in Heaven, which is Tutto Tondo Fico de India. So that's a Italian perfume. You can't actually buy it in the UK, but you can get it shipped over from the EU. And the thing is with that, it's really affordable. So it's about £35 for a 100 ml bottle. But the shipping on it is around £18. So I've been waiting to see if it went into the sale. And then I smelt this one. And when I realised I could get this 100 ml bottle for £40, I was like, I'm going to go for this one. Because actually, of all of the profiles, this is probably my favourite one. Although obviously, Moonlight in Heaven, Fico de India, you have that more tropical feel because it's like, it's mango, but the essential kind of profile, I think, is so nicely done here that it smells less tropical and more like a kind of Italian kind of garden, but it is very much that same dry down of this wonderful, soft, figgy, slightly woody, sweet, musky feel. This doesn't list musk, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's musk in this because the dry downs just get so lovely. But I really, really like this one. I would say if you know that you like fig perfumes, and you can get this for a good price, then I would highly recommend Lucia or Lucia. And if not, if you can get hold of Fico de India by Tutto Tondo, then that is, and if you don't have to pay obviously lots of money for the shipping, so if you're in the EU or you can get it from somewhere in America, for instance, that's quite similar to this one. It's maybe even more unisex smelling, and it has that mango. So there's a little bit more of a kind of there's more of a dry bitterness in that. This hasn't got quite so much bitterness, but it's just, I mean, this is beautiful. But yeah, I mean, I would say Fico de India by Tutto Tondo is my affordable alternative to something like this. But it's beautiful, and if you want something even more affordable that doesn't quite have the Moonlight in Heaven but still has that kind of fig and vetiver scent, then I would go for CK1 Gold, which also is a lovely kind of unisex smelling. It's not quite as warm and yummy and quite as fruity smelling as this one, but it is actually quite similar. It is quite similar, but this is like a more Mediterranean smell. Beautiful. Love this one. Love the bottle. Extremely happy to have it. I got very lucky with that one though, guys, so I appreciate that's not going to be the case for everyone. So next on the list we have Florence. Now, this is the little thing of Florence, and this is the one that I like least from this collection, and I was already suspecting that to be the case because this is a gardenia perfume. I think it says, let's have a look at what it actually says on the back. So for Florence it says bergamot, pear and gardenia. And this is absolute butter. As in, like, it smells like the most buttery gardenia. I haven't smelled anything that smelled quite this literally like butter, like a buttery floral, since I smelled Island Gardenia by Jovan. So I mean, straight up, there is a much more affordable option for Tocca Florence. This is just not my kind of floral. I do not like buttery florals. They make me feel a bit queasy. I feel overwhelmed. This is probably the strongest perfume from this collection that's in here. This one I really do think is a bit beast mode, but that might be because I'm so sensitive to these kind of flowers. But let's have a look. So this is pear, apple, bergamot and grapefruit leaf in the top, then gardenia, tuberose, jasmine, violet leaf and iris in the mid, base notes, musk and whitewoods. For me, I get a hint of that pear, but it's mainly an incredibly buttery gardenia and a bit of a not too bubblegummy tuberose. So that's what I'm getting from this. So the other affordable alternative here, because obviously this is compared to Gucci Bloom, and I think this one may be a bit sweeter, maybe, but I think the problem with Gucci is I find their perfumes very head-splittingly screechy. There's, again, I think there's some kind of aroma chemical that bothers me. But if you can get hold of the original Kim Kardashian that's in the round bottle, and it just has the KK logo and then says Kim Kardashian on it, that smells very similar to this, because this also smells like Island Gardenia, but the thing is with that one is I don't think they make it anymore, so it's probably really hard to find. I don't think they make Kim Kardashian either, but I see that one quite a lot in the UK for sale, so I mean, you could probably get that for about £10 and it's going to give you a very similar experience. Obviously, if what you love is a buttery gardenia and you love Tocca and you like the bottles and you can afford it, then you would love this. If you love a buttery gardenia, you would love this. I could not believe how, I mean, it was almost like waxy and greasy to my nose. It had a literal texture. So yeah, I'm very fussy about gardenia. If it goes soapy in a kind of bar soap way, I can normally live with it. But if it goes buttery, it's just not for me. So Florence is my least favourite from this because, you know, like I said, that's just my specific tastes. But yeah, for buttery gardenia fans, that's a really good one. So then we have the next one, which is Tocca Stella. And this one has blood orange, freesia and spicy lily listed on the back. Now this was the first little Tocca I ever got. This is just a little 15ml. This is a beautiful blood orange perfume, but it's also very floral. So it's not one that is oh gosh, it's so pretty. It's not one that, it does retain a bit of the vibe of the blood orange the whole way through, but once it dries down, it's a beautiful floral. Isn't this such a cute baby bottle? I've actually got a 5ml bottle of one of these, which is even smaller. But Stella is one that's on my list, and I want a 100ml bottle of this. I really like this one. It was the first one I ever actually bought, and it's very pretty. Now, I would say, and actually this goes for all of these all smell much better to me in warmer weather. I think in colder weather, this one, which is when I first bought this, it wasn't particularly nice weather. I got this on eBay. It's a 15ml bottle, probably one that was from a set, but someone didn't like it, so they sold it on. This is much more floral and a bit sharper to me in colder weather. In warmer weather, I get a sweetness, a sweet floral. It's still super white floral though, so if we look at all the notes here, Tocca Stella has blood orange, bitter orange, watery notes in the top, lily, freesia and wild orchid in the mid, and then the base notes are musk and sandalwood. So you get that warmth from the sandalwood coming through and you get a lovely muskiness. I can definitely get lily in here, and that is the thing that's stronger when it's colder. But in warmer weather I get more of the orchid and freesia. But it's definitely got a bit of a vibe of a white floral. I get a little bit of that blood orange. It is a bit watery. But the dry down of this really reminds me of a softer version of Britney Spears' Curious. So that's my affordable alternative to this. They have completely different notes. I think that one is pear rather than orange. So you don't get the blood orangey feel in that one. But to be honest, this one, even if you retain a bit of citrus, I'm not sure that you would guess it was blood orange by the time it's properly dried down. I think it just becomes a really pretty white floral that has just a touch of citrus, if you see what I mean, and a little bit of a kind of sandalwoody, musky dry down. Super pretty though, really like this one. And so Curious is obviously, I mean, that comes in an awesome bottle as well, Britney Spears Curious. You can get that for way cheaper. And I think it's probably about the same strength, about the same longevity. This is also compared to Ralph Lauren Blue, but I mean, you can't get that in the UK, and besides which, it's probably not a massive difference in price to something like Tocca Stella. But yeah, I mean, I would say Curious is a really good choice if you don't want to spend Tocca prices, but you want the general scent profile of Stella. So that's Stella. What's next up on here? Okay, so next up we have Julietta. So that is a perfume that I've seen people talking about lots. I know, particularly if you are the same as me and you watch Amy Glam, she loves Giulietta. She's been talking about it for years. So I was really interested to see what it smelled like. It says pink tulip, green apple, and vanilla orchid. So this is the one that I bought before I'd smelt it because I saw someone selling it on eBay for $9.99, this partial bottle. And I mean, I couldn't really believe it because it was just, I was the only person who bid on it and I was really shocked. So I've been keeping an eye out ever since to see what's happening with the old Tocca bottles. But this does not smell how I expected it to at all. And not in a bad way, just in an interesting way. So you can see, I mean, I think this has sort of 25 mil, maybe 30 mil left in it. So yeah, I got it for $9.99. I was very chuffed. This is a 50 ml bottle. As you can see, if you look, you can see the difference between the 100 ml. So that's the 100 ml. And then this is the 50 ml. So you can see it's got like a big chunky bit of glass underneath. These are bigger, but they haven't got quite as deeper. I mean, they're both really heavy, but obviously the 100 ml is an absolute beast. This is also very heavy though, because this glass is so heavy. This is definitely an apple perfume, absolutely, 100%. But I'm so confused by this because it smells spicy to me. But like in a warm spicy, almost like a cinnamon. So let me just have a look at this again. Does it describe it as... No, it says pink tulip. So it says spicy lily on Stella. But this smells like spicy lily to me. Spicy tulip even. And it's so pretty though, but it's sweeter and more floral and more kind of creamy and more spicy than I was expecting it to be. I thought it was going to be like a classic freshie, but I don't think this one is a classic freshie. So this one has Granny Smith apple in the top, ylang ylang and pink tulip. And then in the mid you've got lilac, which is one of my favourite notes. I love ylang ylang as well, actually. You've got lily of the valley, iris, orchid and rose. So you've got a real floral bouquet going on here. But the base notes, you've got musk, heliotrope, sandalwood, cedar and amber. So I think I'm getting some creaminess and some sweetness going on from that heliotrope. There's sweetness from the amber. There's a warmth in the amber. But there's something in this that makes me think of a Christmas candle, like an apple cinnamon candle. But by the same token, it starts off when you first spraying it being a bit more of a juicy apple. So you get a bit of, it's crisper and fresher. And then it starts to dry down and it starts to smell more spicy and more like a candle. It gets sweeter, a bit more floral. So it definitely reminds me of an apple candle that I used to have from Yankee Candle. And then it continues to dry down. It moves away from the candle smell, which is good because I don't like wearing perfumes that smell like candles. Even if I like the smells, I find them hard to wear, if you see what I mean. Because it's also, same, I find a body lotiony perfume a bit difficult to wear. This one then just kind of turns into a very gentle apple, tulip, lilac, heliotrope, musky, sweet perfume. And it definitely smells like there's some kind of spice, like a very gentle cinnamon warming it up in the base. So yeah, I mean, this is not at all what I was expecting, but I do think it's pretty. I don't know that I'd be able to wear this one in super high heat because I think it would become a bit cloying for me because of that. I already am really fussy about green apple, but this isn't a million miles away from the it's called Winter Apple, I think, a brocade perfume that is impossible to get because of the Russian sanctions, but that one has toffee in the base. So it's got like florals and green apple, and then it's got actual toffee in the base that gives this sweetness. It also has cinnamon in there, I think. So it's got it's actually quite similar to this one, but because you can't get that, the other affordable alternative to something like this is Yope, All About Eve. That one's a bit more vanillic than this because it has a vanilla base rather than just a kind of sweet musky base. But that one is a green apple. It's got some light cinnamon in it, but it's not like too creamy. It's still got a freshness to it. I got rid of that perfume purely because it reminded me a little bit of a candle. This one, in the base, it kind of moves a little bit away from that. But if you like the idea of a very juicy, crisp green apple with a sweet based dry down and a hint of florals and cinnamon, then All About Eve might be a really good affordable alternative to Giulietta. But yeah, I mean, I'm really happy to have this. I'm looking forward to when it's not like, I mean, it's pushing up towards 30 degrees today, so I'm not going to go for something quite this sweet. But it's definitely fresh, but yeah, it's an unexpectedly sweet and slightly cinnamony vibe to this one, which I just did not see coming. So yeah, I had a look on Fragrantica and someone else had said the same thing. So I don't think it's just me, thankfully. So next up we have Cleopatra. Now, I was thinking Cleopatra was not going to be great because Cleopatra is the one that I see on eBay all the time. There's always like mini bottles of it, small bottles. So let's have a look. Cleopatra. Cleopatra says grapefruit, jasmine and vanilla musk. So that's interesting. Let me just have a look and see what it says. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention. Julietta is compared to Artemisia from Penhaligon's, and I have a little sample of that, and I can see there's a bit of a crossover. I don't think they smell exactly the same at all, but again, it's not an affordable alternative. That's even more expensive, I imagine, because Penhaligon's are rather expensive. But Artemisia, it does have a little bit of that same vibe. I feel like I remember Artemisia being a bit more powdery. But anyway, so Cleopatra, it says grapefruit, blackcurrant, green notes, cassis, jasmine, peach, tuberose. Base notes are musk, patchouli, amber and vanilla. And I was not expecting this to go the way it did, but I wanted a little 5ml bottle of this, and I shall tell you for why. Firstly, how cute is this? I got this for £2 on eBay. Again, like, it's totally check out the secondhand sites for expensive perfumes, man, because sometimes you can get them so easily. Look at how cute this miniature is. This is just a little 5ml. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. It's just nestled in there, little tiny baby. So if you compare, that's the 15ml of my Stella. So this is Cleopatra. I sort of can't believe that I went for this one, but I mean, again, if it hadn't been £2, I might not have done. I bought this because there's something in here that feels nostalgic to me, which is weird because the second I sprayed out the little tester, all I could think was, well, just get Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker, because that's what it smells like. So Cleopatra really smells like Lovely, and therefore it also smells a bit like the Musk for Her perfumes from Narciso Rodriguez. This has that exact same kind of smell. It's very astringent, sharp, nose tingling at first. It's full of grapefruit. Let's have a look. So yeah, the grapefruit's really strong and the patchouli and musk are really strong. So it has that real classic Lovely scent. It's got those sharp citruses, it's got some greenness, it's got some florals, but it's got quite a lot of patchouli and quite a lot of musk. Weirdly though here, grapefruit, blackcurrant, green notes and cassis in the top, jasmine, peach and tuberose in the mid, then musk, patchouli, amber and vanilla in the base. When this dries down into the deep dry down, there is a scent mixed in. So if you imagine the dry down of Lovely, but somewhere in there, there's a sweet tuberose, and like just a hint of vanilla, but I feel like it's the tuberose that's coming through. And there's something about this one that reminds me of my childhood. And I don't know why, but it's very specifically the scent that I get in the dry down. So weirdly for me, Tocca Cleopatra is my favourite of all of those perfumes, all of this profile, because I can't wear Lovely. I like it on other people. It doesn't suit me. It goes too sharp. The patchouli's too strong. It goes a bit masculine. And I can't wear any Narciso Rodriguez perfumes really, because the musk in there smells like a swimming pool to me. It literally smells like chlorine. I'm just one of those people who can't get on with that musk. But Cleopatra has a sweet floral in the dry down that I just think is prettier than either of the other two. But of course, if you like this Cleopatra and you're not too bothered about the tuberose being in there, which I genuinely think, it might be the peach as well, but I think in the dry down it might be the vanilla and tuberose that are taking this onto like a nostalgia level for me. And I have to say, it's not that I particularly want to wear this all the time. I just kind of wanted it to put a little bit on my hand now and again. Because that lovely profile and the Narciso Rodriguez Musk for Her profile isn't really my favourite kind of perfume because it's a bit white musky for me. I prefer a bit of a warmer or more soapy musk. But yeah, I mean, if you quite like this one, honestly, just get Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker. It's so cheap in comparison. So again, unless you can afford it or you want the bottle, in which case this is my favourite version. It's probably, I don't know if it's the same price or maybe it's probably about the same price as the Narciso Rodriguez ones, I imagine, to get a 50ml or something of this. But yeah, this is, I think, the nicest version of all of them, but for me personally. But yeah, Lovely you can get for like less than 20 quid for a 100ml bottle. So, and it's also in a really pretty bottle too, so I think that one's really cute. That's going with my little bunch of miniatures soon. So what have we got next? Next up we have Colette. Now this is the one that I wanted to smell because I have discovered about myself in the last few years of doing this channel that I like green vanillas. So I mean my favourites are Lalique Le Parfum, that has a bay note in it, which I think, a bay leaf note, which I think is beautiful. And then I also like Eau Duel, both EDP and EDT. So I kind of like those green vanillas, and I like unusual vanillas, I like lavender vanillas. So I thought Colette just was being sold to me as such a beautiful, interesting green vanilla. And it's been so long since I'd smelt Gypsy Water, I couldn't really remember what it smelled like, but this is supposed to smell like Gypsy Water. So Tocca Colette, though, I don't really like this one. I was really surprised by how sweet and powdery this is. It made me uncomfortable, and I'm realising that I don't enjoy a sweet, powdery perfume that was also slightly vanillic. It kind of puts me off. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable and a bit queasy. So the note, let's just have a little look for Colette, because I know people love this perfume. It's also in, I think, probably the prettiest of their bottles because it's like a purple liquid. It looks so, and everyone says it's like a fairy tale. So Colette says bergamot, sandalwood and pink peppercorn, which is really interesting because this is very sweet and definitely it has vanilla. So yeah, I guess that this is a slightly more affordable alternative to Gypsy Water, which is a very expensive perfume. But I have a couple of things that this reminds me of. So the notes in Colette are Amalfi lemon, bergamot, juniper berries and mandarin orange. Middle notes are violet, pink pepper, jasmine and cyclamen. Base notes vanilla, sandalwood, musk, amber, Virginia cedar, incense and pine needles. I think you only get a little bit of juniper and pine in this. I don't think that those are the main scents. You get a little bit of pink pepper. It's like kind of, it's not sharp at all, but it's got that kind of slightly nose tingly thing I get sometimes with pink pepper. I think you get quite a lot of sandalwood, amber and vanilla in this, with a lovely bit of citrus obviously, but I sprayed it on my arm and there are a couple of things this reminds me of. So texture wise, it's my favourite version of this kind of sweet powdery texture is Elizabeth Arden's Mediterranean. Now that the reason I like that one is because it doesn't have vanilla in it, so it is sweet and it's powdery, but it's also slightly aquatic and fresh. It's fruity and floral. It has wisteria in it, so it's got this lovely powdery floral and it's got quite a powdery sweet amber, but it doesn't have vanilla. So that one I can get along with. It also has like a kind of sea breeze note in there and like a lovely watery plum and I think it's a peach nectar sorbet is what they call it. So that's my favourite of the kind of sweet, powdery, fruity floral. But this one is more akin to, it reminds me a tiny bit of Curve Crush by Liz Claiborne in terms of the texture, although that one's a bit more lactonic and it's a little bit more spicy. It's got a bit more of a wintry feel, but because there's tea in that one, it's still quite transparent, a bit watery. The thing that I would recommend here is Laguna from Salvador Dali, because that's what this makes me feel like when I've sprayed it on myself. I There's something about Laguna and this that I enjoy, but I can't wear them. They make me feel a bit sick. So Laguna is like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I'm just going to read you the notes because it's got a billion notes in it. But Laguna by Salvador Dali, the original one that is, and that's the one you can still buy now, is pineapple, Moroccan lemon, grapefruit, galbanum leaf, peach, plum, mandarin orange and raspberry in the top. Middle notes are Italian iris, Brazilian rosewood, jasmine, lily of the valley and Egyptian rose. Base notes are coconut, vanilla, Madagascar sandalwood, tonka, cedar, amber, patchouli and musk. A lot of notes. But it smells like a fruity, floral, very powdery aquatic vanilla with a lot of sugary sweetness, and some greenness from the galbanum and the patchouli. So, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but if you like Colette and you're definitely on like a super tight budget and you don't want to go for a dupe house or something I don't think anywhere dupes this, but I'm sure loads of places dupe Gypsy Water. But yeah, I think Laguna might give you a very similar feel to this one. So that's my affordable suggestion for Colette. Okay, so next up on here, we've had one that I was really excited to smell. I hadn't smelled this one before. This was Tocca Simone. So I was interested to smell this one because it's watermelon. So Simone is listed as watermelon, frangipani and ylang ylang. And I really liked this one a lot. And then I went and had a look on online, and in the UK, I think it's not All Beauty, but Look Incredible, that's the one. They had a half price sale, so I managed to get, with free delivery, a 50ml bottle of Tocca Simone for about £42. And I just really like this one. This is a perfect summer perfume for me. It's musky while also being almost like a creamy bar soap kind of musk, while it's also light, fruity and floral. It's a real good fusspot perfume, this, and I feel like it would be it's one that I feel would be really difficult to dislike. It almost feels like it's in the family of the Lanvin Modern Princess and Lanvin Jeanne perfumes, which are like, they're basically a freesia musk that smells a bit like a bar soap, but Jeanne has raspberry in the top, so it's like a lovely fruity raspberry musk, and then Modern Princess is red apple. So I mean, already if what you're looking for is this general profile, then Modern Princess is probably the one that I would go for. But if you're looking for watermelon, I'll mention a couple once we've gone through all the notes. So Tocca Simone is watermelon, green apple and lemon in the top. Middle notes are freesia, frangipani, rose and ylang ylang. Base notes are musk, woody notes and amber. So this has a very gentle sweetness. It's got a very watery, light watermelon note that doesn't go into Jolly Rancher territory for my feelings, you know. And it's definitely got freesia. I can definitely smell that, and I can smell the frangipani. A little bit of ylang ylang, but I wouldn't really necessarily guess there's rose in here. But I feel like maybe the rose is making it slightly crisper and a bit fresher. But obviously you've got very crisp fruits in here. Now, I think this would be a much nicer perfume to wear than Dolce & Gabbana L'Imperatrice. So if you are like me, if you find that one too screechy and shampooey, or if you're one of the people who gets that kind of garbage smell from the watermelon in there, then you might be safe with Simone. It might be a perfect option. I think it's super, super pretty. And I think the reason I do love this so much is because I love Modern Princess. It's one of my favourite easy reaches. It's one of my favourite red apples. In fact, it is my favourite red apple perfume, and it's one of my favourite kind of musky, creamy musky perfumes. So I I tried the flanker from Modern Princess. That is a watermelon perfume, and I was hoping it would smell like this, but it didn't. It was really screechy and unpleasant. It had a sharpness. It smelled a bit like aroma chemicals. This doesn't. This smells how I wanted a watermelon version of Modern Princess to smell. So it's got the green apple instead of the red, which is fresher and crisper, more summery, even more summery. And then it has the watermelon that makes this more aquatic feeling than Modern Princess. But I would have... So if you're interested in a much more affordable watermelon perfume, I also have one that I really like that cost me honestly about £4 or £5. And it's Adidas Get Ready for her. It's in like a long, thin, pink, kind of watermelon pink bottle with a watermelon pink lid. And that one, it does have... I think it's like water lily or lotus. No, it's lotus. It's got lotus in it, which has a lovely, pretty, gentle floral tone. It's got musk in the base. It's got watermelon in the top, and it's got grenadine, so it sweetens it all up. That one leans more to the Jolly Rancher, especially when you first spray it, and then it goes a little bit shampooey, but the Deep Dry Down has like quite a similar feel when wearing to this one. It doesn't smell as natural, but it's also like a fifth of the price of the full bottle of this. So I really like that one. I really do think it's a good one. If you really just like a appley, fruity, fresh, floral, freesia-y musk, then definitely I always recommend Modern Princess. I think it's beautiful, really, really gorgeous, absolutely lovely. So Simone, very happy to have it. I've already worn this one. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest reach of any of these. I think it's the one that is going to be the most appealing. So the other thing to say is that Simone is compared... Its top comparison actually is MAC Turquotic, which is a perfume I've never smelt. I've never been able to get hold of that. You don't really get MAC perfumes in the UK very easily. I think you can get it on the website. It's quite expensive. It's also compared to DKNY Be Delicious, the original one. I despise that perfume. I've never liked it. I don't think it even... I think it's so perfumey. It smells vintage. And it's got a really unpleasant apple note in there that I really don't like it. I do not think this one smells like that personally. But again, maybe DKNY use some aroma chemicals that smell screechy to me and just horrible. And maybe, you know, that's why that one smells so bad to me. But I don't think personally they smell very similar. But it does go to show this does have watermelon, but there's quite a lot of green apple in here as well. So what do we have left over? Oh yes, we've just got Belle. So Belle is the last one, and I've talked about this on my channel before because I had a little sample of this one. I had samples of the 3 perfumes that have like, they're the only ones that have an actual colour on the glass. So I think it's there's one called Belle, there's one called, is it Mia? There's a fruit chuli one as well, but I do have a video and I'll link it to this. But Belle says Italian bergamot, petitgrain and freesia. So this to me is purely a freesia musk. This is like a musk without much else going on. Bergamot, freesia. So the only notes listed are bergamot and petitgrain in the top, freesia in the mid and musk in the base. And as I said when I talked about this last time, this has a body lotiony smell to it. It's like a clean, fresh bergamot and freesia body lotion. So I'm not sure what the price difference is, but it smells very similar to me to Amazing Grace by Philosophy. So possibly new Amazing Grace is not going to be a huge amount cheaper. I think it's probably a bit cheaper, to be fair, but I know that you can get Amazing Grace on the grey market and on eBay for so cheap. Like I've seen it for 20 quid, you know. So I would say, again, unless what it is that you love about this is the bottle, you might as well just get Amazing Grace by Philosophy. And I think that would be a really good shout. I also think if you want to go even cheaper than that again, my favourite version of the kind of Amazing Grace Philosophy smell, which I think of as being like a body lotion really, but mainly bergamot, freesia and musk. If you want something that's less body lotiony and slightly less cloying, and I think is just a bit better and just lasts longer, then AV by Adriana Vissidini. If you can get hold of AV, that's, I think, the best version of a bergamot or freesia musk, personally. So yeah, that's Belle. I'll link down to the other review I have of the samples that I had. They were carded samples. So yeah, so that is this discovery set. And then I'm just going to finish off with the other thing that I ordered from Amazon, which I thought was an amazing bargain. And actually, even if you get this little sample set from the Tocca website, it's still only about, I think, £15 or something. So I wanted to see what the oils were like in comparison. So these are the dry body oils. They're in like a much plainer bottle, but I mean, you can actually see it here on the back. They do much plainer bottles of these dry body oils. I think they come in 100ml bottles. And I guess the idea is that maybe they boost your scent, or they're just literally supposed to be moisturizers or something. But so in here you've got Florence, Stella, Cleopatra and Giulietta. So I think, let me just try and get these out. I won't spray Florence because that one won't stay with me, because I just really don't like Florence. It's like I said, it's the only one from the collection that I actively dislike. I can't wear Colette, but I understand why people like that one. But so if we have a look at these, here we go. So all I can say about these, they do feel lovely. They're a lovely texture. The Cleopatra in the body oil form smells just like lovely and doesn't share whatever it is in here that changes and gets a little bit more feminine and nostalgic for me in the base. So this one is just straight up Narciso Rodriguez for her, Musk for her, and Lovely by Sarah Jessica Parker, but in an oil form. So it's just like but it's very liquid, so you still spray it like a perfume. These are all spray bottles. You just spray it on, rub it in, and it's just a gentle smell. It is a very gentle smell. The perfumes are definitely stronger than these. These might last longer, but these are definitely stronger. I think if you combine the two, it would be great. And then Julietta, I think this perfume oil smells more like the dry down of this. So you're lacking a bit of the crisp apple that you get in the top, but it dries down into this glorious kind of slightly warm, spicy, musky tulip smell. So this lovely kind of slightly fruity floral. This is very cozy and lovely. It's a bit warmer, in fact, even than this one. So beautiful. Really like that one. That'll be staying with me. I love that. And then if we look at Stella, Stella is the one where I would love a bottle of this, because this is kind of sweeter and almost slightly less floral. Almost smells like there's something sweeter in the base. So the dry oil version of Stella, again, it's not as strong, but it's kind of cozier and warmer. Again, there's just something a little bit creamier about this, maybe creamier about all of them, to be honest. But yeah, I'd love a bottle of the dry oil of Stella. I think it's gorgeous. Both of these are going to stay with me. I'll probably pass this on to someone else. I'll definitely pass Florence on to someone else. But yeah, I'm definitely going to keep these two little samples. And also, I think these are 1.5 as well. So the 1.5 of the dry oils. And this was about £8 or £9, including delivery, to get sent. Well, I've got a Prime account, but yeah. So yeah, it came in a couple of days as well. So really not bad at all. I really like the Stella oil. I think it's gorgeous. And actually, the Giulietta's lovely as well. But yeah, the only one, Cleopatra, is just, I mean, that one is less interesting, I feel. It's more basic in this than it is in the perfume. But yeah, the Stella one, I'm kind of in love with that one. So yeah, that is everything. I think that's all the stuff that I had to talk about from Tocca. There's a few Toccas that I think you can still buy, including one that's like, I'd love to smell it, as it's got like tea and rose in it, but I think it's quite a similar smell to something like green tea. By Elizabeth Arden, so it's probably not something I need in my collection, but I would love to get a chance to smell it. But yeah, so that is Tocca. This is a long video, but I had a lot of things to talk about, so I hope that you found this helpful. I hope I've given you some good cheap alternatives, or at least affordable alternatives to some of these beautiful perfumes. But if you can afford Tocca, I mean, I'd wait for a sale, obviously, because, I mean, come on, they're not really strong enough to pay £100 for, but £40, absolutely. They're really beautiful. They're excellent for office wear, for if you live or work with people who don't like strong perfumes. Maybe even some of these, if you work somewhere where you're not really supposed to wear perfumes, they're so light, and some of them have like a body lotion feel, some of them have a like a body wash or a shampooy feel. They're beautiful, and the bottles are stunning. So yeah, I really like Tocca, and I think they're quite easy wears, most of them as well. So yeah, lovely. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.